What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Classic WoW video for Cataclysm Classic. Now today we have some pretty important news. It is very small, there's only two things here, but it's very important, especially for goldmaking and for Cataclysm overall. We have a blue post from Blizzard talking about two specific topics, one of them being the Valor cap and the second one being the Darkmoon Fair. So the blue post we're talking about today is this one right here, upcoming Darkmoon Fair and Valor points changes. This is from a community manager, this is a blue post on the Blizzard forums. The following changes will be made to the Darkmoon Fair schedule and the Valor points cap in Cataclysm Classic. For the Darkmoon Fair, starting this weekend, Darkmoon Fair will become available every 2 weeks instead of once per month. For Valor points, with the regional realm restarts this week, which is today for, well, Tuesday for North America and Wednesday for EU, right? Valor points will behave like Conquest, and the current weekly cap will be replaced with a rolling seasonal cap. If you have missed any Valor points in previous weeks since the launch of Cataclysm, you will now be able to catch up from those weeks. There is also no longer a cap to the number of times you may earn Valor points from random dungeon finder each week, up to your normal Valor cap. So basically, when you get a brand new level 85, you can spam dungeons until you reach the total Valor cap, which is 1.6k per week, which means if you missed 2 weeks, that is 3.2k, then 4.8, and stacking that way all the way until whatever time you reach level 85. Now, these changes may seem somewhat small, but they're huge quality of life changes for the game as a whole, especially like Valor cap behaving like Conquest. That's the way it should be anyway, and I was kind of expecting this to happen at some point, wasn't expecting it this soon, but it's great to see. Darkmoon Fair as well typically only arrives once per month, so we had it earlier than we were supposed to the first time, and then the next one was supposed to be in July, like July 7th. So that's a long time to wait, like 6 weeks I think it was, 5 or 6 weeks. So getting it every 2 weeks instead, that is absolutely perfect. That means we get it this weekend, then the next weekend, like 2 weeks after, and every 2 weeks, rotating that way. And with the increased cadence, like we have a faster Cataclysm cadence now than we had back in the day, so we are going to be rolling through the expansion way quicker. So instead of spending 2 years in Cataclysm, we're going to be spending less than a year probably in Cataclysm Classic. So having Darkmoon Fair more often, more regularly, does make sense, and it also feels good for people that missed out on their trinkets the first time around. Now, for goldmaking, this has pretty huge impact, and I've already made a post about this in the Discord server that you can get access to by buying my Cataclysm Classic goldmaking guide. If you haven't checked it out yet, there's a link down below, and getting this guide, then joining the community you get access to when buying the guide, is the best way to get information when I can give it to you. Instead of making a video, I can just post the information, talk about it in Discord, and give you guys my thoughts. So for example, with the update today, like this blue post, I have now put in a significant amount of gold into a couple of items, specifically Whiptail. I have bought a couple thousand Whiptail, so on my other paladin here, you can see we have 3,100 Whiptail. That might not look like a lot, but it's all that I could buy for the price I bought them at, which it's already going down, back down to that price. I'm going to buy all of these as well. So that's another 310 Whiptails right here. And as you can see, the price jumped from 3.7 up to 7.5 for Whiptails. So yeah, the prices jumped quite a bit after the announcement of Darkmoon Fair coming this weekend, and I can see Whiptail going for even more than 7.5 as well. So I've already both put in a significant amount of gold into Whiptail, and I'm going to keep doing it as well. Basically doing a daily cost average into Whiptail here. And I've also been buying and checking out the decks. So we have quite a different few decks here. We have the Hurricane deck, for example, going for 4,000 gold right now on my server. We also have the Volcanic deck going for 21k. And if you buy this one through trade chat, you can probably like offer people 15k for the deck, and you might be able to get someone to sell it for you depending on your auction service price. For me, I've been able to grab them 5k below the auction house price. And looking at, for example, the Darkmoon card Volcano, that is currently more than twice that price. So if you've been holding on to a Volcano, you can sell that right now and then buy 2 decks, getting 2 trinkets back for the sale of 1 trinket. So I've been selling volcanoes myself. I still have 2 more to sell as well, and as you can see, I've sold 4 of them, one for 42,000, one for 33, and the average price being 39,000. I also bought these for 32,000 each back in the last Darkmoon Fair, so I've been making an okay amount of gold on these decks alone. About, well, 32k buy and 39k average sale, making 7,000 gold profit per sale. Now, another kind of interesting thing here is that if you take a look at 2 things, the price of Maelstrom crystals on your server, they're 2.3k on my server, well 2,340 to be exact, or 2,339, and then compare that to the price of an Earthquake deck. Because Earthquake decks gives you Darkmoon card Earthquake, which can be disenchanted into those crystals, and more than that, you can sometimes proc 2 crystals from 1 disenchant. So per Darkmoon card Earthquake is worth on average roughly 1.2 crystals. So for me, the deck is literally worth less than the crystal right now, which means unless the crystal goes down in price even more this weekend, which I personally don't think it will, because people keep getting more gear from the raid, and they need crystals for pretty much everything. Power Torrent, Landslide, even the stats on chest and boot enchants, and all the best enchants require crystals. So even though raids gives us more crystals, it also gives raiders more demand for crystals, because they get their base gear and they want to have the best enchants on their best gear that they then get from those raids. So for me, Earthquake decks, I'm making about 350 gold here between Earthquake decks and Maelstrom crystals, and that is assuming I don't proc a single double. Once again, 1 card can disenchant into 2 crystals, so for me this is a guaranteed profit margin, and I'm just gonna buy these decks and see what happens, because like 2k per deck is incredibly cheap if you ask me, especially when the crystal is worth even more than that, and you can proc 2 crystals per disenchant. Now, apart from that, there's 2 more things to take a look at here. That is cheap individual cards. So search up, for example, off stones and look for individual cards that are super cheap that you can be able to buy now to then make a super cheap deck. Looking at 2 of stones, for example, that is 170 gold on my server. If you can get the entire deck for that price, that is an Earthquake deck for about 1,000 gold. Going over to off waves, we have a couple of really cheap off waves cards as well, and I actually bought a couple of them today. So you can see I bought 4 of waves, and I bought them for 415 to 500 gold each, and they are now selling for 1.8. I also bought 3 of waves, and I bought those for 700 gold each, and they're 1,000 now, so a little bit less profit on those. 2 of waves I bought for the current price they are at, so that one hasn't moved at all, but there's quite a few of them, so I might just buy these out and flip that one myself. And then we also have 1 more that I bought as well, which is 8 of waves, which is now selling for 1,000 gold, and I bought it for, well, actually 1,000 gold. So a couple of them have moved, like for example the 3 of waves has moved, 7 of waves, and the 4 of waves. 4 of waves, for example, has gone up in price 4 times, a 400% profit margin on that one. Now, the card that usually sells the most is the Volcano deck, the Volcanic deck, Darkmoon card Volcano, which is also called Off Embers. So searching for Off Embers, you can try to snipe some really cheap cards right now, even though when Darkmoon Fair comes out this weekend again, people are going to craft these cards. So the cards might actually go down in price. This one is really risky, but then again, you could be able to get some really cheap cards right now. For example, looking at these cards on my server, we have quite a few of them for 2,000 gold each, and we even have 2 of them for less than that. This one, 6 of Embers, is 1,250, and 5 of Embers is 1.5k. Assuming these prices, you can get a Darkman card Volcano for 10,000 gold, which is super cheap, but 2k each, that is still about 16,000 gold for the entire deck, which is also pretty cheap compared to the current price of the volcanic deck on my server, which is going for 22,000. So buying the cards while they're cheap, you can save about 30% compared to just buying the deck. But this one is way more risky because once again Darkman Fair comes back this weekend, people will be crafting a bunch of cards this weekend and they could be going down in price, but it's worth looking at your server and seeing if you can find any of the cards super cheap. Now one more thing, we did also have the Valor change, so if anyone here has any alts, like me for example, I have a bunch of alts that I'm slowly working on leveling. When they get to level 85, you can hit 2 birds 1 stone. You can both farm Valor points, sell BOEs through Valor points, and gear yourself up in heroics at the same time. Now, farming Valor points, then selling Valor BOEs will not be the best gold per hour you can get. You're probably gonna end up getting 1 BOE Valor boots about every 3 hours, and assuming they sell for 15,000 gold, which is quite a lot by the way, that is 5,000 gold per hour. That being said, if you do have any alts that you want to gear up anyway, and you want to gear them up in heroics, then jump into raids or do PvP, and you don't mind spending the Valor to get some gold back to maybe play the game for free through buying WoW tokens or something like that, it's a good way to hit 2 birds 1 stone. Either way, that's a quick little update on gold making in Cataclysm. It's a pretty huge update, 2 semi-small things, huge quality of life though, and it's a huge gold making opportunity. Keep in mind, Darkman Fair this weekend, you might see the prices of herbs jump up quite a bit, and even though I just talked about Whiptail specifically in this video, take a look at Twilight Jasmine as well, and keep that one in mind. That one is already up to 6 gold each on my server. I think it could be going higher though, so once again, keep the herbs in mind. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below, let me know if you're buying anything for the Darkman Fair as well in the comments down below, let me know the positions you are taking on this, and yeah, let's try to make some gold together. If you haven't checked out my gold making guide yet, once again the link will be down below. The support is incredibly appreciated, and we're all just helping each other make as much gold as we can in this expansion. Either way, thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.